Hello, hello, everyone. Oh, hang on. All right, now we're good. Okay, hello, everyone. It is Brenda here for Stamplicity, and welcome to What's Up Wednesday. Now, I'm not going to lie. I was going back and forth as to what I was going to do this evening, and I decided that we are going to go with Pink Fresh, and we are going to make some samples with the Mark the Moment set here. All right, so this is a stamp, a stencil, and a die set. We bundled it together. And the reason why I chose this one is because always we get people asking about masculine cards. And I thought this is a really good set, and it's kind of good for all ages as well. So that's why I chose this one. So before I get started, as I'm being very ambitious this evening, I think I have 5 cards planned. We'll see how it goes. I did a lot of prep work, but we'll see how it goes. So this one here is this stamp set right here. All right. So it's Mark the Moment. So it's got some really great sayings in there. Believe in yourself. Never stop exploring. You got this. Adventure awaits. My hero. A win. We're celebrating. Proud of you always. Find your path. The journey is a reward. Keep moving forward. You are going places. Those are all the sentiments that are in here. And then there's a few little kind of icons here. Of course, the whole reason why I love this set is because of the Jeep. I am a Jeep owner. So there is a Jeep, but there's also the guitar there. We got the lightning bolts. We've got a tree there. So that's the stamp set. But when you combine it with the stencil set, you're able to really make some really cool samples. All right. So in the stencils, there is a trophy. All right. There's also a bicycle. And then you've kind of got this like kind of half sun design there. And then you have kind of the bottom half of the circle, so that you could actually make a sunset. And this is kind of the waves. And that's going to fit on that circle die that is included in here. You've got the little stencil for the Jeep. You've got the stencil for the electric guitar. You got a sailboat stencil and a mountain. All right. I know these seem really random, but when you start putting these all together, they make some really incredible sceneries. Then you're going to get this die. Now, this die here matches one of the dies that are, I mean, this stencil here matches one of the dies. So, um, so here is the die set. That's going to cut out all these shapes and banners. And again, this is going to go on there too. So if you wanted to shade them in or not even use the die, you can do that. Then you have the dies for the trophy and the sailboat, the electric guitar, and the bicycle and Jeep. And then you have the ones that are for the sentiments. All right. Not all the sentiments have them, but the scripty ones here, these guys will fit on the banner. So it's a jam packed. There's so many different ways that you can use this. So we're going to get started. I'm going to show you different ways that you can use this. All right. So let's get started. We got 5 cards I want to do. So overachiever I am. All right. Let me just get myself organized. All right. So the first one we're going to do is we're going to do really kind of plain and simple. We're using the Jeep. I want to use that Jeep. I'm sorry if some of these cards, there may be more than one Jeep one. I'm just saying. But any of the cards, the designs that I'm doing, you can definitely swap out the imagery. You could put the trophy. You could put the bike. You could have lots of fun with this. Okay. So I've already kind of pre-cut some elements here. I love Pink Fresh. I love the simplicity of Pink Fresh. I love the fact that this does not have florals, because we all know, if you know Pink Fresh, they're known for their florals dies and stamps and washi tape and such. And that is one of the reasons why I fell in love with this stamp set or bundle, is because there's no florals. All right, it's a little something different from Pink Fresh. But going back, Pink Fresh always has a clean look to it. And I'm going to be starting with white paper and just adding ink. Now, I'm going to apologize because I do not have my Distress inks here. Um, I wanted to use some of the softer pastel colors, so I am using Pink Fresh inks. All right, these are just dye inks. You can definitely kind of do the same thing I'm doing this evening with Distress inks, oxide inks. You just want to pick colors that are going to be similar, softer with some of the techniques I'm going to be showing you. But don't get caught up on the type of ink I'm using, because you can definitely use your Distress inks or any blendable ink. All right. Okay, so let's get started. I went and cut some panels here. I did, I should probably keep that die out. I did take this die and I did run it through on white paper a few times just to get some of these shapes and banners so that they were ready. All right. It's one of those kind of fun little shapes. I like the sizing of them. I know I'm going to be able to use these shapes in other projects as well because of the size of them. All right. So I'm going to start with the oval here, and we're just going to do a little bit of blending on here. All right. So I'm just going to pick up one of my larger blending brushes, and I just want just a faint color of this. What is it? This is a light color, Ocean Breeze. It's just a kind of a light kind of tealy color. And I'm just tinting that oval. All right. So nothing really special. I'm just adding a little color to that oval so it's not white. All right. Now I could have cut it out of teal paper, but I really wanted just a soft blend on there. All right, so there is that. Easy peasy. All right, so now we're going to add some elements on here, because we're actually going to put the Jeep on here, but we want to build up the background. So we want to add some mountains, and we want to add some trees. So I'm going to bring out my stamping platform. I'm going to put it right, the oval right in here, and I'm going to go to the stamp set now. No, I'm going to go to the I'm going to put this away. We're going to do a stencil first. Sorry, I forgot that the mountains was not a stamp, and it's actually a stencil. So I'm going to stencil on the mountains in the background. All right, so I am going to hold this down because my sticky mat is at work at the store. So I'm just going to put a little piece of paper there, and we're going to put our little mountain range across into the background here. I'm just going to center it left to right. I'm going to kind of push it closer to the top of that oval, and we are going to, I'm going to go into, actually, you know what? Oh my goodness. Let's put a sunset behind there. Let's do that first. I'm going to use that half moon sun, and you can see that that fits the curvature of that oval. I love how these all work together. So let's do that. I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do that in aquamarine. Let's go tone deeper. All right. So now if you did not have, tone on tone, just use the same distress ink that you use to blend the background, because as you layer distress inks, you are going to get darker shades. So I'm just using smaller blending brushes here because these are smaller areas. And I'm just going to go through with this and just add a little bit of that kind of sunset or sun rays in the background. Okay. All right. So there we go. All right. We've got that on there. Now we're going to put our mountains in. Now we can put the mountains in. All right, so let's go ahead. Now I'm going to line up those mountains so that they're kind of covering the sun, the main part of the sun. I'm going to kind of line up that mountain range kind of so that you don't see that straight line of the sun, the edge of the sun. So we're going to go a little bit deeper on this one. Again, you could use the same color, and let's blend this in. How's everyone doing this evening? It's another warm one out there, isn't it? Hello, hello, everyone. I see everyone joining me this evening. Thanks for joining me. All right, there's my mountain range. Look how cute that is. Oh my gosh, that's so sweet. Okay, we're gonna continue on. Actually, I can bring this up to the camera now to show you. Look how cute that is. Nice little scenery. Now we're gonna do a little stamping, and we're gonna stamp some trees in here. All right, so the trees are actually, I'm gonna bring this just over a little bit. The trees are a stamp. All right, so I'm going to grab that one. All right, there's a little evergreen tree there. So we're going to stamp it twice. We're going to do on the left-hand side and the right-hand side. So let's get the little tree in position here. Stay, tree, stay. All right, so for this one here, I'm just going to go in kind of with a green. All right, so this is evergreen, how appropriate, right? And I'm just going to go ahead and ink that. And let's stamp that. I didn't condition that stamp. I should have. Okay, I'm going to just go in with that again. All right, so there is my first tree. And then I'm going to put one on the other side. All right, that looks straight. And let's ink that up. All right, what brushes am I using? Judy is asking. All right, so I have lots of different brushes, so it's usually the ones I grab, that are the closest. But this evening, I am using Waffle Flower. All right, only because I like the sizing of these ones. And when I'm doing smaller areas in stencils and such, I like using a smaller brush. When I'm doing backgrounds, you'll notice that I will go to a bigger brush. All right. But I have all different sorts. This is a Pink Fresh brush. This is a Waffle Flower. I do have the Pink Fresh smaller ones. But the last time I used them with metallic ink, so I have to clean them. I also use Spellbinders ones, but these are the Waffle Flower ones. I like these ones because, of course, there is one for each color family. All right, love that. And they also have a little bit of an angle to them. I don't know if the camera's going to show that. They have a little bit of an angle to them. So that means if I wanted to do shading, which sometimes I do, I have that that angle so that I can work with shading as well. So those are the ones I'm using. So good question. All right, so there's my little scenery. Look how sweet that is. Aw, right? Super nice. Okay, so I'm just going to put that to the side. We're going to come back to that in a second. I want to get things kind of ready on my panel here. All right, so I have two panels here. This is going to be going on my card front, and then this is going to layer on here. Now we're going to do a couple of things with this. On the back one here, we're going to add in a little bit of that teal, all right? So I'm going to go back to my Ocean Breeze. That's the one that I used kind of to tint my little oval here. And I'm going to go ahead and pick up some ink, and basically I'm going to do a fade, all right? So I'm going to start at the top and then kind of fade it to white, all right? You've seen me do this before, just to add a little bit of color, interest in the background. So I'm just going to start at the top, and then in a rotating motion, I'm just going to kind of bring my brush down, and you'll see that I have darker tones up here, and I'm going to bring it down, and it's just going to fade into white. All right, so it's just a really kind of nice way to add just a hint of color without a lot of effort, and it's not going to take away from our focal point, which is that going to be that fabulous Jeep when I put it on. So it's just a really very light. All right, this is more blue than anything because I originally had this as a blue brush, so we're getting a little bit of that blue. All right, so I'm going to stop there, but I'm going to bring that to the camera so you can see that I have a darker color, and it just kind of fades into that white now. All right, so that's going to be that. And then this one here, we're going to add a little texture to it. And one of the things I love, we could do embossing folders, but I love piercing plates. And so I grabbed whichever one I had first from Pink Fresh, which is this one. This is called Stitched Basket Weave. I am not sure if we have this one in stock, but we can definitely get this in. But this is a texture that it will create. It's just going to do a little bit of a stitching on the back. It's not going to cut anything. It's just going to add that stitching design on there. Just going to grab my die cut machine. So the sandwich for this is exactly the same as a die. All right. So I'm just going to place my paper on there. I'm going to stick this on to my, I'm going to tape, am I going to tape this? I'm going to try so that my stitching is straight. I'm not going to, I'm just going to go for it. And if it's crooked, it's crooked. That's all there is to it. All right. So let's run that through. Sorry if I'm shaking the camera. All right. Ooh, I think I got it somewhat straight. All right, so there is what a piercing plate does. So it's just going to, sometimes it's little dots, sometimes it's stitching, but it's just a really nice interest for the background, all right? All right, so we're gonna take this, we're going to go ahead and place this on. We're going to position that in there, centering it top to bottom, left to right. All right, so I'm just gonna actually just adhere that down with double-sided adhesive, my tape runner. For some odd reason, this panel is not centering in, but it's okay. It will still be fine. All right, my paper doesn't want to stick because the ink is still wet. Okay, it will eventually stick. All right, so there is that. Now I'm just gonna zap. I'm just gonna zap that with my heat tool, but I just noticed that my heat tool is not. Okay, it's gonna be liquid glue. The reason why my double-sided adhesive is not sticking is just that my ink is still wet, so that's all. With the humidity and such, I don't know, things are just all a little wonky. All right, so that will eventually go down. All right, so then we're going to take this little guy here, and I'm going to position it kind of in the bottom right-hand corner, but we're going to pop it up with some foam adhesives. So grab my foam adhesives. And let's stick that kind of in this bottom right-hand corner, like so. All right. So far, so good. All right, there we go. All right. Now let's get our little sentiments. It's not straight. Let's get our little sentiments and our Jeep. All right. So that is going to be my stamping platform. All right, let's just grab a piece of paper here. And I'm going to grab the Jeep stamp. Now the Jeep stamp is connected to the electric guitar. So I'm going to stamp both of them at the same time. I'm also going to stamp my sentiment. All right. So I think I'm going to do the journey is the reward. Let's do that. So I'm going to stamp that as well. And let's do that. I also have a little banner I'm going to do as well. I just don't know what happened to it, but we'll find it and we'll stamp that as well. All right, so I'm going to condition these stamps. Now, I didn't do that on the first time. I totally forgot. Let's talk about conditioning your stamps. So Altenew has what they call these conditioning erasers. You've seen me use them before. They are a game changer. Sometimes when you get clear stamps, the first time you stamp them, it never stamps beautifully. You saw that with my evergreen tree. Well, maybe you saw it with the evergreen tree. It was blotchy. And that's only because when stamps are manufactured, when they leave the manufacturer, there's always kind of a film of their a film on them. Sometimes it's just a little grease, sometimes it's just a coating of something. These little conditioning erasers remove that so that you'll get perfect stamping all the time. All right. So when you get brand new stamps, I usually not tonight. I didn't do that on my first set. But I will take my conditioning eraser and just rub that over, and that's going to remove any type of residue, grease, whatever that is there, and you should have nice stamping after that. All right. So all right. So I think we're good. And we're going to stamp this with black ink. I'm going to use my VersaFine Clair. Okay. And let's go. Ooh, look how fine the details are on that Jeep and that electric guitar. Lovely. All right, let's go ahead. Stamp that. And let's see. Perfect. All right. I love it. Okay. So now I'm thinking I probably should have not used VersaFine Clair because it's a pigment ink, and that means it's a slow drying ink. So I do need, because I'm going to blend some color over top of that, so I want that to be dry. So I'm going to switch over to VersaFine, just regular VersaFine ink, because it's faster drying ink. But in the meantime, I am going to dry this with my heat tool. Okay. I got fingerprints everywhere again. All right, let's just give this a little zapping with the heat tool. And while I'm doing this, I'm going to just check for questions and comments. Judy says, I like the size and the colored handles. I do too. And that's the reason why I love the waffle flower. Now, waffle flower also has ones that are a little bit bigger, Judy. They come in a set like this. So they do have bigger ones as well. With and it comes in a whole pack with all the color families as well. All right, those are my go-to ones. Hello, hello. And Pam asked, what is the sandwich for 3D embossing? All right, so for the piercing plates, you just treat that as a die. All right, so that's a regular sandwich. But if you had a 3D embossing folder, it all kind of depends on what machine you have and how old your machine is. So I have a Platinum 6, a Spellbinders one, and I also have the Universal Plate System. And having that Universal Plate System takes all the guesswork out of it because then I just put my base, my 3D folder with the paper on it, and then you have the adapter plate, which is a gray plate that goes over top that's meant for 3D embossing folders. And honestly, it's beautiful. But if you have an older machine and you do not have a Universal Plate machine, I always forget and I'd have to look that up. But yeah, I'm sorry I can't help you with the exact sandwich. But shoot me a message, direct message, and then I'll get that same that info for you. But just tell me what machine you have and whether or not you have the Universal Plate System. Okay, so we have the Jeep here, and the journey is a reward. We're going to die cut this out, but I do want to color this Jeep. Now there is a stencil, all right, that goes over top of it, but I just want a little highlight of pink, I think, on here. Just a soft pink to go with all these kind of teals and blues. I think that's good. We're going to make this girly after I tell you, you know, this set's great for masculine cards. We're going to make this a little girly. So I'm going to just take this and we're going to just put a little bit of pink right over top of it. So I'm not really concerned. I'm not too concerned about staying in the lines. I'm just going to color this pink, and it's a very light pink. So so I'm just going to just go right over top of it. And you probably can't even see this pink going on because it is such a light pink. I will bring it up to the camera. All right. I try to deepen it a little bit. All right, so we've got a pink Jeep now. All right, there we go. Pink Jeep. Can you see that? Very, very soft. Okay, we're going to go ahead and die cut this out. So I'm going to go to my die cuts now. And I'm going to grab this one here, and then I'm going to grab the one for the sentiment. All right. So this is kind of a wonky. Oh, this is actually probably all right. I think I'm going to cut my journey out first. This one here has got all 5 of them together, so I should have maybe spaced it out a little bit better, but it's okay. We're just going to go with it. Okay. So I like to stamp first and then die cut. Some people like to die cut first. It all depends on my project. If I am doing mass producing, then I will die cut first and then stamp. To each their own. Doesn't matter as long as we get the sentiment. So I am going to tape this in place because I don't want that to move. And I'm going to do this one as well. So I can cut out the electric guitar as well on this at the same time. And I will save that for another project. I love that it creates just a little bit of an outline on it. Okay, we have them taped and we are going to run that through. And I'm going to bring the little Scout out because he's much more manageable than the big one. All right, so Pam says she has the same as me. All right, so I have the universal plate system, but I bought that after my machine. So if you have the universal plate system, Pam, then it's just the base plate, your 3D embossing folder with your paper, and then your adapter plate, which is the, oh, I'm gonna have to bring out the big one. Oh no, maybe I can. The adapter plate, which is the gray hard plastic one. All right. Can I do this? I'm going to make it. I don't want to take my big one out again. I got this. Oh, no, I don't have this. It moved. Okay, big one it is. I'm limited on my space on my little desk here. So that's why I wanted to use the Scout, but big one it is. My studio is not, it's not very big. And I'm just waiting for my son to move out so he can take his room, and that will be my studio. But it's hard for these kids to like get ahead and get a place of their own. But he's working on it. He's working on it. So, all right. So I have my little Jeep now. All right, and I'm going to now pop it right over there, and look how cute. Get my tweezers for a second here. All right. So we're going to just pop that on. Love it. Nice pastels. Okay, I really need to fix this card because I think it's really stuck now. No, I can get it down now. It's not centered and it's really bothering me. My OCD is kicking in, everyone, just so you know. And then I'm going to trim the bottom of that just to make it all even. Okay, so my Jeep is on. We're going to put the journey is the reward. Kind of, I'm gonna pop that down. All right, so let's go right about there. And then I had a little banner, blue one, and I'm not quite sure where it went, but I thought I would stamp Never Stop Exploring and maybe put it on there. I'm going to worry about that after, but there's a quick and simple card. I love the simplicity of it. All right, so there is card number 1. All right, now I got to get a move on because I wanted to do 5 cards this evening. So let's continue on. Let me just reset just a little bit here. And let's grab the next one. And this one here, we're going to do the Jeep again, but we're going to make this one into a masculine card. All right. So, now this one, we're going to do a little bit of color with it. All right. So I just took some kind of more masculine colors, and I have some stitched rectangles I pre-cut. I'm using that oval again. I have a little blue banner here. We're going to make sure I don't lose it here. and I have some bases here. So let me go ahead. Now I was gonna add the texture on this one, but I think I'm not going to. What I am gonna do is just ink a little bit around the edges with some brown ink. So I am just going to grab my brown blending brush and let's grab some brown ink and let's just ink around the edges. So we'll just deepen up. All right, so it just gives it a little bit more depth. All right, so we've got that. All right, now we're going to take these two, and I'm just going to we're just going to build on top of these ones. That's just for a splash of color on here. We're not going to do anything with it. What we are going to do is do the same thing on our little yellow oval this time. All right, so we're using a colored one. I'm not going to worry about the sun rays this time, but I am going to go ahead and ink my mountains in. All right. So no sunset on this one. I'm going to bring this up a little bit higher, and we're going to do this mountain in a lovely blue. All right. This is a dark blue. We're going to bring in that same color from here. All right. Thought I lost my blending brushes there. All right. All right. So this is pretty intense, this blue. So So when you do blending with a stencil, rotating motions, clockwise and counterclockwise, all right? This way you're gonna hit every edge of the stencil and you'll get a cleaner design, okay? So clockwise and counterclockwise, and I just go over it until I think I've fully covered it. And then mountains. All right. So now let's stamp some trees. Guess I should have left that in the stamp platform. Okay, so let's do a little tree here. We're going to just put it off the paper a little bit. They're sticking to my fingers. All right, that's straight. And we're going to do this in brown. Now, I could have just used a regular acrylic block to stamp these, but I like the fact that if I need to deepen up my color, I can. So there is one tree. Judy, you are absolutely right. It's sad. I get it, but it's a much bigger room. And it's upstairs as well. My studio's on my main floor. I have a small house. We have an old farmhouse in town here. It's small, but I love it. It's got a lot of character and all that. But I don't have a suitable studio, right? It's my studio is actually connected to my dining room, which is fine, except when we have family dinners, like you can see my studio because there's really no door to it. It's just an extension of the dining room. Anyways, I cannot wait. I will miss him, but it's always good. It's always good. All right. So I'm going to go ahead now. I'm going to start putting this together and then I'll get my Jeep and the sentiment on there. So this is going to be more of a masculine card. The first one was more of a feminine card. This one's going to be more of a masculine. All right. So just some simple panels of paper. So I have a blue base here. I'm adding a craft. All right. Craft. And we ink the edges of that one. All right. And then these two we're just going to kind of just offset in the center here. All right, so I'm just going to put a little bit of adhesive on there and we'll just angle these. All right, good enough. And then we are going to just place these now down in the center. Okay. I'm going to go something like just commit. All right, so there is that. Then I'm going to take this little guy here and we are going to pop that up again because, you know, I love dimension. Don't need to, but I'm going to. I got ink everywhere. Look, there's ink on the back here. I think it's from my stamping platform. All right, so we're going to place this. And I'm going to center this as best I can in amongst the card base, all right, not on the green one. Okay, so there is that. All right, now let's go ahead and stamp our Jeep again. Actually, you know what? I think I might die cut the Jeep first and then I'll stamp it. We're going to do opposite of what I said before. So I'm going to grab that there. And let's just grab. So these are going to cut all these icons, which I will be good because we do need the bike later. We need the trophies. So this way it's all done. Okay, so let's just grab the Jeep. And now we're going to stamp. And I'm going to switch my inks because we're going to actually stencil this using the stencil. Last time we didn't. This time I am. All right, so I'm just going to put that there. Okay, I got 2 inks here just in case this one doesn't work. All right, so now let's grab my Jeep. And we'll just line that up right on the die cut. So you'll leave a little white border around the edge. And it's pretty easy to line up right on your die cut. So if you prefer it that way, then do that way. All right, so I switched my inks. This is still VersaFine, but it's not the VersaFine Clair. It's just the regular VersaFine. So this is a fast drying pigment ink. So still a pigment ink, but it's fast drying. So I shouldn't have no problem with it smearing or anything when I go to blend. All right, so I'm just going to restamp that just because I want to black to deepen. All right, there we go. Okay, so let's grab the stencil now to go with this one. All right, and we're just going to position this on. Really easy to line up. So this is just going to color elements on here, all right? So if you feel you need to tack this down, you can. I have them on my glass mat, so it's magnetic, so I can use my magnets on here. Or you could tape it down. All right. Oops, that moved it. And with such authority, I put it down. Okay, there is that. All right, we are going to color this with. I'm going to do this as because there's blue, and I think I'm going to use like kind of a blue that kind of matches the background here. So that is what I'm going to do. I just want to clean off my brush here. Okay. All right, so again, rotating motions clockwise and then counterclockwise. And now my Jeep is colored. All right, so we've got a splash of color on my Jeep. And now we're going to grab some foam adhesive. And we're going to place that kind of right on there to build our scene again. All right, now I'm going to grab my little banner. All right. I'm going to put another sentiment on here, whether it be the journey is a reward, like the last one. I won't do it on camera. I'll do it off of camera, just because I want to get the other cards done. But I will just go ahead and stamp that just like I did with the first card on white cardstock and then die cut it. All right. And I'll put it, as you know, I always post my pictures after, whether it be tonight or first thing in the morning. And I will do that as well. So you'll see the finished samples. So, okay, so these little banners fit the stamps, which is awesome. So, I'm going to have to put a little tape behind there. Okay, first I'm going to condition it because it's super sticky. All right. Okay, this one here, I am going to use my VersaFine Clear because it's going to stamp beautifully in black. I don't have to worry. I'm not shading anything over top of it. So, I'm going to stamp that. I don't know if that's perfectly centered on there, but oh, it's not so bad. It's usable. All right, so there is our Never Stop Exploring. And I'm going to position that kind of underneath, and it's going to pull in that blue so nicely. So we're going to just glue this. And like I said, I will do one of the bigger sentiments, and that will go underneath it. All right, so we're going to put a sentiment there, and then I'll probably end up adding a little bit of gems on here, even though we are doing this more as a masculine card. The gems will just help bring in all that color. All right, so there is more of a masculine one. All right, so kind of more of a feminine one, and then more of a masculine one. All right, let's continue on, because I got 3 more cards I want to do. I'm optimistic, really, I am. Okay, let's switch now. Let's not do a Jeep. And let's go ahead and do one of the other elements in here. So let's do the trophy, because I think this one would be a good one for you know, if you have kids or grandkids that play sports, even if you have, you know, your brother, your husband, your dad, you know, if they play sports as well, I think this will be a good one as well. So, all right, so I got to put this stamp back because I'll lose it. And let's get our next one here. Okay. So this one here, again, going to be a real clean and simple card. All right. And we're going to start with a white base. All right. So there's that. And then all I've done is cut another rectangle that has a bit of a stitching design around the perimeter of it. All right. So we're going to do that, and we're going to build on top of this. But let's build a little bit of texture and interest on the back. And I love using scraps of paper for this. This is a great way when you have those offcuts, especially when we cut our panels down to 4 by 5 1/4. We always have those, you know, extra little strips. This is a great way to use them. So I just cut a few of these in colors that went together. So I have blues and kind of a mustardy color and a gold. So I'm going to take one, and I'm going to go ahead and glue it on my base panel here. All right, we want it to extend past the left and the right hand side. All right, so we're just going to create a diagonal stripe on the back. All right, this is just a fantastic way to use scraps. All right, the next one I'm going to use is a mirrored gold. It's always nice to put a specialty paper in there, then it creates a little bit more of an interest and specialness to it. And you're going to take this one, and you are just going to butt it up right against that first one. Okay. Then I'm going to take my mustard one and do the same thing. Again, you want to make sure the ends are extending off of your panel. All right. We will trim them off. All right. And last, then I have a darker blue here. And it kind of works with the trophy, these stripes. It's kind of like a, I don't know, it reminds me of, stripes on shoes, running shoes, I guess. I don't know. Maybe it's the Adidas that I'm thinking of. I don't know. But anyway, so there is that. And now all I'm going to do is trim those off. Now you can use your paper trimmer. I just like using my big scissors because it's one cut. I just line up my blade right along the edge of the paper and it's one cut. All right. And take a look at that. How effective is that? Fun, fun, fun. And a great way to use scraps. Okay, let me just get these little pieces out of the way. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to put that to the side. We're going to move to our stitched rectangle here. And we're going to stamp a sentiment on there. So I'm going to grab my stamp platform. And let's get this into here. And this one here, we're going to use one of the ones that do not have a die, all right? So there's a couple of kind of bolder ones, a win, we're celebrating and proud of you always. So I'm going to do proud of you always. Let's just grab that one. And I'm going to stamp that near the bottom, and I'm going to center it left to right. All right, so I have not used this one, so I am going to condition this stamp. Okay, and let's go ahead and stamp that. Ooh, that stamp, look at that. First time, and it's just beautiful. That is what a stamp conditioner eraser does, all right? So if you're looking for that, it's Altenew. It's called a conditioning eraser. So, okay. Oh my goodness, I got fingerprints on there all the time. I am the worst. And I know all of you that watch me on a weekly or even on the rewatch, you know that happens all the time. Okay, so I'm going to grab my sand eraser here. And I'm going to try to get this ink off. Again, a great little tool to have. I own multiples of these ones for the reason every week I use it is I always get fingerprints. So basically it's in kind of an eraser that's got sand in there. So it just basically kind of sands the top layer of your paper off that's got the ink. You have to be gentle. And sometimes you have to work at it, but it usually removes it. I cannot believe the fingerprints I got on there. All right. So there we go. Gone. All right. I'm going to keep that handy because I'm pretty sure I'm going to need it again. All right. Let's go ahead. I have my trophy cut out from the last time. All right. So we cut them all. So I'm going to have my trophy there. And then I have the hexagon shape. Okay. Remember the hexagon came from this one, from the die set. All right. So that's where the hexagon is. Okay, so let's start with the hexagon. We're going to do a little bit of stenciling on there. We're going to use that sun ray again. I just think that's kind of a fun one. But we're going to use it kind of, well, we're going to put it on. I got to clean my hands. We're going to put it on, but then we're going to shift it or rotate it. All right, so we're going to use it sideways. So where is my stencil now? Okay, there it is. All right, so I'm going to grab my stencil and I'm going to place it so that the straight edge at the bottom kind of matches with the where the side points are. So I'm going to do my best to kind of line it up. Looks good to me. So I'm going to hold that down with my magnet and we're going to color that in with a little bit of yellow ink. All right. So I'm going to go in kind of with that mustardy color that we had as a strip there. So I'm going to grab this one. This is called Marigold. All right. This mustard seed would be a really good one for if you're using distress inks. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and build that color up. All right. Let's take that off. And now we've got a little ray of sunshine there. I'm going to put that to the side and I'm going to grab my trophy and let's go ahead and stencil that now too. All right. So this one here, again, you're going to line this up. And when you line this up, you're going to have a little white edge around it. All right. That's what makes it kind of unique. So you're going to do your best to line it up. I gotta stop putting that magnet down with such authority because it shifts my stencil all the time. All right, so this one here we're gonna do in gray. All right, we could have done it in a gold, but because I used that marigold for the background of that hexagon, we're gonna do this one in gray. So this one here is called Rocky Slope. Hickory Smoke would be a good alternative if you're using distress inks. All right, so let's go ahead. This Rocky Slope is a really good one to stamp with as well. And we do have it in the full pads as well because it is a fun color to stamp with as well. All right, so it's not as deep and dark as bold as the black. It's a really beautiful color to stamp with. All right, so there is our trophy. Take that off. There we go. Whoa, our trophy. Okay, now let me see, this, and then we have a little banner, and we're going to stamp "You Rock" on there. And I think I'm going to just use my acrylic block. I don't know where my small one is, so we're going to use the massive one here. Okay, I'm going to stamp this with black. All right, that is done. You rock. We've got the trophy. We've got that. I think I'm going to add just a small little color to this. Actually, I'm just going to use my blue brush here. It probably has enough ink on there that I can just kind of hit the bottom of it just to add, oh, maybe we'll do a little bit on the top too. Okay, just to add so it's not so stark white. Okay, let's put this guy together. My sand eraser, I'm getting it. I see just a little, I got ink here. I know you probably can't see it, but there's just a light hazing of that ink. So I'm just trying to get rid of it. Okay, let's build this now. We're going to take this piece here. I'm going to pop this up. All right. I know it looks like nothing here, but we are going to layer the trophy on top of it. And I promise you it's going to look much better. All right. So we're going to shift that. So now that this kind of ray of sunshine is on the side here. So I'm going to position, where's my tweezers? Position this so that it is centered left to right. Looks good to me there. And then we're going to take our little trophy and I'm going to put foam adhesives on the back of this one as well. All right, and we're gonna layer this right over top of this little sun here. We don't want to see that hard edge. So it just kind of looks like that trophy is shining. All right, so there is that. Last but not least, we are going to put our U rock, which, oh no, there it is. Okay. And we're going to slide this. I'm going to cut it a little bit off. And we're going to slide that kind of underneath that trophy. Like so. And now this here, we're going to pop onto here, and then that one is done. I mean, really quite an effective card. I don't have no more big pop dots. Do I have strips? All right, we'll use strips. All right, so I'm just going to center this one in. And I'll add a few gems to this one as well, but really a nice, crisp, clean card, perfect for those sporting events and such. All right, so there is that one. Good masculine card. All right, so let's put that one to the side. Let's continue on. I'd like to get one more done. If we can get that fifth one in, we'll do it. If not, I'll do it off camera. But let's go ahead and do, it's another Jeep one, so well, I might be able because it's going to be quick and simple. Okay, this one here, we're going to do the bike. All right. So let me just, oh my goodness, I got such the mess going on here. Okay, so again, we're going to do the stripey thing because I love that in the background. This one here, I've kind of, the other one, the stripes were kind of the same width. This one, I've kind of did some thicker ones on here. Again, we're going to start with a white panel, but I think I want to put that wonderful texture plate on here, right? So I'm just going to run that through. And for those that, maybe missed out on what this is a texture plate or a piercing plate. It's going to put like a stitching design on the entire panel. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. So you just treat it like a die. There are some really fantastic Pink Fresh ones. Waffle Flower has some really good ones as well. Spellbinders has a few. Sorry, I know I'm shaking the camera. All right, so this is what it does. All right, so we've got this great, we've got this great texture on there. Love it. Okay. So we're going to build our stripes on here. So let's go ahead and do that real quickly. Again, you want to make sure your strips are longer than the width of your paper. And I always like I said, I always like putting a specialty paper in there, all right? Whether it be a glitter, mirrored, pearlized, even pattern paper would be fun. I just did mirrored again because I had it out. All right. And like I said, I like using my big scissors to trim this off. All right, so just make sure they're all secure. All right, I'm gonna flip this to the back. I'm gonna grab my big scissors and let's line up the blade to the edge of my panel and trim. And there are my stripes on this one, and with a little bit of texture in the background. Okay, we're gonna put that to the side. And we are going to, I have a little rectangle. This is from Spellbinders. This one's got the like that little half moon design around the edge. I always love that one. All right, so I have a circle. All right, so we're kind of playing with all the different shapes. We did oval, we did the hexagon. Now we're doing the circle. The other shape that's in there is the diamond. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and add mountains in the back. Maybe we will not because I can't find the stencil. There they are. All right, let's clean off this. All right, so this one here, I think I'm going to do the mountains in gray this time. All right, so let's get my little roll of tape here. Just tape it down so it doesn't move on me. And let's go ahead and oh my goodness, what a mess. Anyone see my gray? There it is. All right, we're going to go ahead and do rocky slope with this. All right, so the mountains, we're just going to place that on. All right, so that's counterclockwise and now clockwise. Can you tell the mountains are one of my favorites of this stencil? I love it. Love it, love it, love it. All right, so there is our mountains. And we're gonna put some trees on here because why not? So I think I'm gonna use my acrylic block. I think it's just a little bit easier to do. And let's go ahead. I'm going to do them in a different green this time. This one here is kind of like, it's called Meadow. Cracked Pistachio would be a good alternative in the Distress family. So I promise you we're not using the Jeep on here. We're using the mountain bike. So that is why we're doing the mountains and the trees. All right. So we have that done. Now I'm going to grab, remember we die cut all these ones? I'm going to grab the little bike die cut here, right? He's so cute. All right, I'm going to poke out the innards. And this one here does not have a stamp set, but it does have a stencil. So I'm going to go ahead, take my little bike and put it down on my glass mat. I'm going to grab my stencil and just line it up this way. It will fit better the right way. All right, again, you're gonna have a little white edge around it. All right, so I have that in place. And I think I'm going to do this in, maybe I'll do it in the blue, to bring in the blue. Sure. All right. This is a pretty strong blue, so, all right, so one way with the stencil or the stencil brush. This is why I like using a smaller brush. I just feel I have more control getting that color down through the little itty bitty spaces. All right, once you have coverage, then you're going to go the other way. And now we have our little mountain bike. Haha, look how cute that is. All right, take that off there. Okay, so let's take our little bike. I'm going to actually, look how lovely those colors look together. Oh my gosh, love it. I am going to pop this up, all right? So I'm just going to take my little squares here and I'm going to cut them. Sometimes you need to cut them in 3 or half. I think half might have been okay. Yeah, half is okay. All right, so I don't need a whole lot, just enough to pop it up and secure it. All right, and let's just place that there, our little mountain bike. Oh, look how cute that is. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to now, I'm going to pop that up right about there. I want to leave room for a sentiment underneath. So let's put that kind of in that top area here. So I'm going to leave my spacing left and right the same, and I'm going to keep the top the same. So the left, the right, and the top, the spacing is all between all the same. And then what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to use one of the sentiments. I forget which one I selected because I was going to offset it in another color. I think I'm doing the same one as, oh no, keep moving forward, I think is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to stamp that in white. I'll die cut it. And then I'm going to offset it on the teal one and we'll have it on there. And then I will put one of the banners on there as well. All right. I'll do that off camera. And then I think I'll put a few gems on there to finish that one off because I have a fifth card I want to get done. So it's just a matter of the sentiments on there. So, okay. So I just saw comments. Hi, Sue. I hope you're doing well. Isabella says I have a hard time with small dies. I get frustrated. I get frustrated too. I get frustrated because I find my fingers are just like in the way. Tape is always a fun thing to do, but tape it down. All right. So if you're coloring it, tape it down. It's going to be much better when you're stenciling it in or coloring it in, but tape it down. That's what I can tell you. All right, should we get the last one done? This one's a quick one because I think I'm only using one color. It is a Jeep though, not gonna lie. It's a Jeep. All right. But we're just going to, I have a white panel. You can see I love with the Pink Fresh because the simplistic designs, I don't want to go crazy with it. I tend to just keep it very simple and start with white. I did the postage edge set from Spellbinders. It's got the stitched rectangle on there. So we're going to go ahead and just kind of build it up. Again, I have ink on there. Oh my goodness. I need to have to start wearing gloves or something. All right, so we're going to start with the base piece here and just add a hint of color. So I'm going to do teal, guys. Imagine that. Because you know why? My Jeep is teal. That's why. My Jeep is actually, that's actually more of this color. That's the color of my Jeep. So we're gonna do aquamarine though. Okay, so we're gonna do just we're gonna keep this one white. And we're going to take this one here and we are going to let's just edge around. All right. We're gonna do some stamping on here as well. But let's just bring that kind of tealy color around the edge. I want to leave white space in the center. I just saw a comment coming. Love that postage die. I love it too. I'll show you the whole thing. It's probably my favorite die. I had to actually hide it for, well, not that I knew where it was, but I actually had to put it away because I found I was using it on a lot of my samples and card making, and I needed to vary. So I had to put it away for a bit, but I do love it. Doo-doo. I will show you. It is a nesting one. It looks a mess right now. But you will have for every of the postage edge, then you'll have an inset one with the stitching on there. All right. So that is the one. It's called Nested Postage Label and Tag. It is from Spellbinders. Love, love, love. All right. So we have that. We're going to go ahead and we're going to stencil on some mountains on here. All right. So Let me tape my little panel down so it doesn't move. All right, and let's use our mountains. And you know what? I'm going to get crazy here. I'm going to do a double mountain. Why? Because I can. All right, so I'm going to stick that down, and we're going to do the same color. I said we're going to do tone on this one. So we're going to bring in that same color, and let's go ahead and stencil, stencil. And the opposite way. All right, let's take that. There's one set of mountains. And now, you know what? I'm going to flip this around so they don't look the same. The beauty of stencils. All right, so I'm going to flip this around and let's just bring it down just a tad bit. All right, now we're making a mountain range. All right, so all right, there is our mountain range. Ha, I love it. Okay, now we're going to add some trees to this. And guess what color we're using, everyone? The teal. All right, so let's go with this one here. And again, I think I'm going to do multiple trees because why not? We have a big panel here. Let's fill it. All right, so let's just offset them a little bit. Just going to make a forest. That's what I'm doing. All right, so we have our little line of trees. Okay, so let me just start putting this kind of together here because the last little bit is just going to be doing the Jeep, and you've seen me do it. So let me just get this here, and then we'll check on timing and such. All right, so this is going to go on here. I think I want to put texture on this. I need a little bit of texture, so if I can find my die, we'll do that. All right, and I think I want to add just a little bit of teal to this background. So again, I'm going to just pick up a little bit on my brush here, and I'm just going to hit the edges, just very, very lightly. Okay, and now we can stick our panel on here. I'm going to pop that. And then what I'm going to do is, and I'm going to do it off camera just because I do have to end this live in the next minute or so because I do have a Zoom call afterwards. But I'm going to pop this up. Then I'm going to stamp the Jeep and die cut it and stencil it in with the teal. And I'm going to pop it on there and then I'll add a sentiment at the bottom. All right. So one of the die cut sentiments I will do from this set here. And again, once they're all done, I will post the pictures of them after I embellish them and then maybe add a little bit of white splatter or glossy accents to really kind of take them up a notch. All right. So that was kind of the bonus one. So I do have some finishing to do, but what a cute little set from Pinkfresh called Mark the Moments. Just some really fun, different, kind of almost masculine cards you can create there. But this one we did do a pink Jeep, so that was more feminine. But I will finish these ones off camera. But that is Mark the Moment from Pinkfresh. That is the stamp set. Then, of course, it had the 3 stencils with it that you could color in some of the elements, the shapes as well. I've lost the last one. There it is with the trophy. So you got the 3 stencil set there. And then, of course, the die set, which did all the shapes, all the icons, and then all the scripty sentiments. So that is the bundle. So that is it for me this evening. I will do my best to get them done tonight and get them posted tonight. If not, I will post them first thing in the morning right here on our Facebook page. And that is it for me, everyone. Thanks for joining me this evening and tuning in either live or on the rewatch. We do appreciate that. So until next time, everyone, have yourself a fabulous evening, and we'll see you next week on What's Up Wednesday.